It's time for the Film Crickets with Jay Fortier and Chris Martineau. On this week's episode number 49, Jay, Chris, and their special guests, host of the Roll podcast, Maurice Hunt. Jay, Chris, and Maurice review the 1992 American sports comedy film, White Men Can't Jump. Does it stand the test of time? Let's find out. Your Film Crickets are on now.
All right. Hey, friends. My name is Jay Fortier. I'm along with my good friend
Chris Martineau. Hello, Jay.
And right now, we are welcoming a newbie to the podcast as far as being on our podcast. So I'd like to welcome host of the Roll podcast. It is Maurice Hunt. Maurice, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I feel like I'm on ESPN with that intro. I feel like the words should be running across the bottom of it.
Yeah, we try to make it special every week for everybody, and that's a good friend of ours, Steve Lavoie, who puts that together. And the band is Draco and the Malfoys, which I keep thanking them as much as I can. So yeah, I know we're so blessed to have them.
And having a theme song just makes you seem so, I don't know, official, I guess.
I was just going to say that. Like that is official right there. Like it's like
I know. I have a theme song when I go to Walmart. I have a theme song when I go to the doctor. It's like, going to the doctor, stick a finger in my butt.
No.
No, not that. Not at all. All right. So anyway.
This took a nosedive. Man.
I know, right away.
It's just that's where your mind
absolutely
went when you thought about going to the doctor.
Hey, look,
not check your
no.
Right.
No. Because,
right.
Hey, look, don't judge me on my digestive problems, okay, pal? Look, we know we just met, but you need to know. No, I'm kidding. All right. So we have this week. We have this week. White Men Can't Jump, and it says it's a sports comedy, and I don't. We're going to talk about that later. I don't know. I know it's funny. To me, Major League is a sports comedy. Caddyshack is a sports comedy. And it's funny, but I want to unpack sports comedy at some point. But before we go any further and we do the rundown, I always like to start with this question, and I go to the guest first because you chose the movie. So why White Men Can't Jump?
I'm glad you asked. White Man Can't Jump, it was really my favorite movie probably up until maybe 3 years ago, maybe.
So what's your favorite movie now?
It's Training Day.
Okay, all right.
It's just
a little bit different.
Yeah.
Tad, all right.
Yeah. It's been there for a while, but I just watched it like some years ago, and it kind of just moved in the slot for me. But White Man Can't Jump is just from the gate, and I'm not gonna spoil and get into it anything like that. But just from the beginning, just how it draws you in. You know, you hear the singing, and right away they get to the first open game. Mm-hmm. I'm excited every time. So I thought this movie is an interesting movie. I know that one of the things you guys focus on is how it stood the test of time. Mm-hmm. So I think that'd be something interesting once we get to that point of it. But I don't know. I just feel like this is just a universal movie. I think everybody can connect with it, relate, and it's fun, it's entertaining, and it's just real.
Excellent. And before, Maurice, when's the last time you saw this movie?
Prior to last
night.
Before recently, yeah.
I'd probably say about 3 years ago. Probably somewhere around there. Good. I try not to watch the classics frequently because I like to kind of keep that luxury feel of like, oh, it's a treat to watch it. So I try not to watch my favorites that frequently.
I asked that question because we had a guest on that we did That Thing You Do, and he says he watches it once a year, like almost like every May. Him and his family watches That Thing You Do. So I'm curious about that. And these movies that we love so much, like for instance, Star Wars for me was it, and I used to watch it like a lot when I was small, and now I can't tell you the last time I actually sat through the first Episode 4, because I saw it so many times, right? So I was just wondering about that. Jay, how about you?
Yeah.
Probably early 90s. I saw it in the theater, and then I saw it on video, like, when it came out.
Okay.
And I'm not sure how many times after that.
Yeah, so I'm going to be full disclosure here. This is the first time I finished this movie. So I saw it. I'm just being honest. You judge me if you want. Yes. I'm just telling you.
This is okay,
I'm just saying. And probably because, I think this is going to be when we unpack the movie. When I rented it, I didn't see it in the theater. I rented it. I heard a lot about it. My friends thought it was a very good movie. So I watched it, and I don't think I think maybe I rented it, and then I had to return it, and then I just never re-rented it. Like I got kind of through it and maybe fell asleep and like, oh crap, I got to return it, and then I never got it again. And then this is the first time, and I got to say I was more interested in it now than I was then. I think if I were interested in it, I would have finished it. So, but it's it definitely resonated more for me now than it did then for the reasons that I'll get to in a minute. So, so that's where we are. All right, so. Recently, and basically it's a newbie for me. Jay, you want me to do the rundown?
Yeah.
All right, so here we go. So now here's my opportunity. I love this. This is a part of the show where I go to IMDb, and IMDb does a one-sentence synopsis of this movie, and it's either dead on or misses the target completely. So here we go. From IMDb, White Men Can't Jump. We got... so this is 1992, rated R, 1 hour and 55 minutes. Black and white baseball. Sorry, rewind. That's a totally different. I don't think you can hustle baseball. I don't think that's a thing. All right, try that again.
All right,
rewind.
My 9 are going to take on your 9.
yeah. And they did that. They did that movie already. It's called 8 Men Out. All right, so White Men Can't Jump, rated R, hour 55 minutes. Black and white basketball hustlers join forces to double their chances of winning money on the street courts in a basketball tournament. Director Ron Shelton, also known for Tin Cup, known for, I forgot what the other ones were, a couple of sports movies. We are starring Wesley Snipes as Sidney Dean, Woody Harrelson as Billy Boyd, Rosie Perez as Gloria Clemente, Tyra Farrell as Rhonda Dean, the wife of Wesley Snipes, and a cast of others. I loved Kadeem Hardison. I thought that was I forgot about him as he was in a different world. I forgot about him. He was fabulous in this movie. And I got to bring up, and you brought it up before, Maurice, at the beginning of this movie, they hook you with the guys singing the song right away, which was awesome. And I forgot the name of the group. But we see them 3 times. They're almost like the movie's muses a little bit. Like every time they kind of have to reset the story, they bring those 3 to 4 guys back. One of them is John Hendricks. And do we know who John Hendricks is? I am
not familiar
pretty
with
sure,
John Hendricks.
and you can check it out. But I'm pretty sure John Hendricks was the voice of several Schoolhouse Rock videos. Not only including I Am a Bill, I'm Just a Bill, and I'm Sitting Here on Capitol Hill. I am fairly certain that is the John Hendricks. I could be wrong, and edit me out if I'm totally wrong. But I think that's the same John Hendricks. He was a jazz singer at some point, and I know Schoolhouse Rock got him. And I believe it was the guy on the far end, on the far right, the shortest one, I believe is John Hendricks. And when he does his little scat thing, it sounds like the guy singing. Am I right, Jay?
I don't know if you can see that's the...
Yeah, that's him. All right.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I called it.
Wow.
I got a question, too, when you get done as far as the singing element of it.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. You can
Bring it. What do you got?
So Billy Hoyle, he drops the dollar. Do you guys think that was $1 worth of singing?
No.
To just,
Not at all.
No. But that's.
I
think that basically says his character.
Yes.
At the beginning, where he's at, and where he's at through most of the film, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's like $50 worth of singing right there.
Well, wasn't it gonna be 50? And he said, "No, just kidding. Here's a 1."
Yeah.
That's not okay.
That's
no.
That's
okay.
That's a terrible,
man, that was Billy.
Oh my goodness.
Well, so by the way, the middle guy with the glasses that was in the group, he was in City Slickers. He was the father. That was remember there was a father and son that were both dentists.
Yes.
Yeah. So okay. I like him a lot. They by the way, they were great singers. Great. They were such.
Oh man.
Like I'd love to walk by somebody singing like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So in this movie, when we have we start out with the opening scene. The basketball sequences are obviously fantastic. Does anybody know anything about the shooting sequence? Like how long? I know that Woody Harrelson studied with somebody from the Pistons in order to get his basketball down right. In fact, I think Woody said he had played college ball, and the guy that he recruited from the Pistons to teach him, a retired NBA player, and I think he said that, well, I'm pretty good at college basketball, so he played against this guy, and he said it was the most embarrassing 15 minutes of his life. He couldn't even hold against luggage. It wasn't even close. I'm wondering, how much, if anybody knows anything about this, and if not, we'll just move on. But how much of these scenes choreographed, and how often did they have to do this? Like when they do that shot in the opening scene, they have to get the 5 free throws. That's a one shot. Like I don't know, there were a lot of cuts in that. So how many times did they have to shoot that? And when they're shooting did they have to come up with new smack talk every single time? I want to know how much smack was scripted. I want to or are they just making that up on the fly? Because it seems like they do. Anybody?
I'm not quite sure how long that is. I mean, what I pay attention kind of with the 5 free throw shots is the ball kind of goes in a little different. So I think that it might be more. It may not be 5, but I think it might be more. I mean, we know that they can obviously cut and he could celebrate differently because, Sidney, kept celebrating differently every time he would knock down the shot. But I'm not really sure. I'm always very curious about sports sequences when it comes to choreography. I am always very interested how they can, as a collective, come up with that. So I'm not sure, but yeah, this is such a great. I
know it is, Jay.
No, I just you wonder sometimes, even if just so they're not dealing with they missed again, but they spoke well. What you wonder if someone's like on some sort of crane catching the ball and then dropping one in the net, to make sure it's an absolute guarantee because they need this to land. And if you didn't see the actual trajectory, they didn't follow the ball, you never know if there's some sort of trick on that side. That way the guy throws it up off camera and then somebody's down below going out of screen, off camera. You never know. I don't know that for sure. I'm just guessing that it could be just so they don't screw up. If everything's perfect as far as what they're talking, then that would stop it from being an issue. You wouldn't want to we need perfect shots too. The next, it's possible.
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering, and this kind of gets to one of the themes of the movie, right? So when we do this podcast, we try not to go scene by scene, even though it does happen like that sometimes. We basically do wherever the podcast takes us, that's where we go. But I like to bring up the fact that, or my opinion, I should say, because no facts in this, is that the movie is about being true to yourself. And we're only true to ourselves. You can say whatever you want, but when it comes down to who you are, that's when the truth comes out. And so when we see Woody, who is automatically from day one, right, the first scene, he comes to the court knowing he's a hustler, and he has a little nap on his basketball in the middle of the court, almost like saying, this is where it's all going to start. Almost like I got a fresh start, because he's on the run from these alleged, the Stookie brothers, right? It's such an intimidating name, the Stookie brothers.
Man.
But he's not. He's a hustler, so he's making like he doesn't know basketball, and of course he does know basketball pretty well. So from the get-go, he's a hustler, and he's not true. He does not communicate to other people who he actually is because he's a hustler. He's either doing the short con or he's doing the long con. Now, here's a question I have about Wesley Snipes, about Sidney. Does he, I know he lives in a crappy apartment because he's trying to get his wife and kid out of the apartment.
The inside looks great.
I know, that's my point. Does he have money or does he not have money? Yeah. That's what I want to know. Because we see him, it seems like he's a subcontractor. He dresses well when he needs to, and he acts and talks, quote unquote, professionally when that suits him. But on the court, he's crazy pants and dresses like a non-professional, let's say, right? Not a business person. So what is Sidney? Does he have money or not? He was driving a Firebird. He was driving a Firebird. I mean, that's not a cheap car. So does he have money or not?
Here's why I believe he doesn't have money. Because when his wife comes to court in the very beginning, she says, "Hey, the card declined. We need some groceries." And he's like, "Okay, here's $20." Okay, even in the 90s, you guys, I was born in the 90s. I don't know how far $20 is still stretching in the 90s. And then she was like, "Well, $30 would be better." And he's like, now you hustling me. So he gets back and Billy comes, he's got $50 now, a big baller now. So he counting up his money, he counts with $31 or whatever he has, and then he says, "B Junior, hey, let me borrow 20." So he doesn't even have $50 to his name at that very moment to bet Billy in the beginning. So I don't know. Maybe he's hustled everything he's gotten in his apartment, because like even he could have hustled the Firebird for all we know. We put it on I Bet Your Car versus mine, or we don't really know, but he doesn't, because he never really has a consistent job. Which we'll find out later on in the movie. But I don't know.
I think it's a fake it till you make it type of situation. You know what I mean? Because he's got the fiber. He's got the. I mean that I'm jealous of the apartment at points. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it looks beautiful. So what I'm saying is not the exterior, but I'm saying like once you go in, it's like, hey, look at this. We're in a whole other world now. It's beautiful.
What I was kind of not hoping for, but almost like what I was hoping for is that he's such a good hustler, and I found out this wasn't true after. What I was hoping for is that he's such a good hustler that if you look like you're broke, then you can hustle better. So he has his wife as a plant saying, "Oh, the grocery, the check bounced, so I need some money." He's like, "What do you mean?" And so it makes it look like you don't have anything, so that you can hustle $20 off your friend when you don't have enough money, so that you can. He just seems like he will hustle anything at any time to get ahead. I don't know. That's what I wanted to. I don't think that's true, but that's kind of what I was hoping for. Like, that's how good they are. That's what they're willing to do. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jay,
and I want to say short-sighted hustler in the sense that he was so focused on the revenge against Woody or Billy, but he was so focused on the revenge against him to set up a con against him and hustle against him that, to me, it was like, instead of the two of them continuing to hustle and putting their heads together, and I think they could have gotten a lot bigger, he was more focused on the 50-yard line. Like, he's in the end zone, he's looking ahead. Instead of looking at the other end zone, he was looking at the 50. And it was like, you know what I mean? It would have been better if he didn't hustle Woody and they decided to like go a little further. I'm not saying the story would have been better. I'm saying he would have been better off, I think, instead of like, good, I got some $1,700 or whatever, whatever it was. Now, you agree with that? Or
I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that, of course we know how he played. He played the long game after a few games, but just once they eventually, get from the very opening scene to the next, where they decide to, do a business proposition, he comes and offers them a business proposition. They go and they, hustle at another corner with this guy that I guess Sidney somewhat knows, and it was just genius. Like, the whole thing, like him coming down with the goofy, the goofy outfit, and like give him the chump, man, give him the. like that whole thing. I'm like you said, I feel like long term they could have really, and nobody was really better than Sydney or Billy. Like when they were together, nobody was actually better than them, you know. And I'll talk about when they get to the tournament further down the road, because there's a detail I think people kind of miss where it shows you why they really were like the best ones around. But yeah, I think that would have been a better play.
I hope to bring up the tournament sooner than that. But what I wonder about when I'm watching this movie is, to me, and I think the theme of the movie is kind of being true to yourself, like what you broadcast is not actually who you are. So when I looked at Sydney, what we see is a street baller, hustler in the clothes, dressed like everybody else, talking smack to other people. But the smack it's just that, it's smack. It's not truthful. Like your mama doesn't actually break her leg and gravy comes out. Which is absolute genius. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of that posturing.
Yes.
I think the best word is posturing, right? You're just trying to get in the head of the other guy so that they have a bad game so that you can win and hustle your money, whatever it is. So we have Wesley Snipes, he's dressed but actually his heart is, I want to provide for my family. I want to get my wife the house. I want to get out of this apartment area. He tries to make good decisions. Like he makes mostly good financial decisions, not like Billy. And he's obviously right. So his posturing is this smack talking street baller, but really he's trying to be a businessman when he has a business meeting later. And like I said, he's trying to provide for his family. Billy, on the other hand, he looks goofy, but he's a mess. You know what I mean? He doesn't talk as much, at least in the beginning. He doesn't talk the same smack as Sydney does. So you think, well, maybe he's just a little more reserved and that's not his thing. But really, he's a hot mess. He is not a good character. He does not make the right choices, basically ever. He makes the right choice. He makes the right choice by not throwing a game. But that's the wrong choice because then he puts him in the lamb, and then he can't hold on to money, and he can't get over his own ego a lot. I mean, why would you bet? I know the movie's name is White Men Can't Jump, but why would you bet all of that? Like, and Sydney hustles him because he knows he won't say no, and it's like, what's happening? So to me, Billy kind of comes off as more put together, but he's a hot mess. Whereas Sydney comes off as kind of like this wisecrack and whatever, but really he's got his shit together. What do you think, Maurice?
I think I agree. I think that, you know, you look at kind of the characteristics of both, where Billy, he has a gambling problem. Like this is clear, very early, and we get 2 moments of him losing it all, and it was so unnecessary. You know how you watch a movie and as much as you've seen it, you always wish the outcome would be different. You know, I know for me, I have a few movies that I just like, every time I hope it's going to be different, but that's just how the movie's already done. But every time we get to the tournament and Sydney's like, hey, look, I don't care. Rather you can dunk or not, man. I don't care. Go home, go to your girl, get her a nice dress. And this man, his pride, and Sydney was prideful as well because his wife kept saying, let me go work. And he was like, nah. But he wasn't trying to get a job. He was trying to kind of have a couple of gigs. Like he was, I guess, an entrepreneur, if you will, where he said, I got the paint thing, the roof thing, you know. So it's kind of his entrepreneur thing, which I get, but it's like she's been trying to get out of this bad neighborhood. And I guess they lived in Compton, I'm assuming, because when they were playing that other game, they told them to go back to SeaWorld. Yeah. And so I imagine, I'm like, SeaWorld, Compton. So they were, and Compton was really bad during that time. So Billy had a really bad gambling problem. I think Sydney was really just very prideful, honestly. And you know, you kind of start to see those things unravel as the movie progresses.
Absolutely. But we have not touched on Gloria at all yet.
Oh man!
Do it
now. Before anybody talks about Gloria, I have I put together a little clip between 2 separate films that is going to describe, I think, a part of Gloria. Okay, so I took it from Dumb and Dumber and this movie.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Oh, come on, honey. Come back. I want to make love. Honey, come back. I want to screw.
Yes.
Dude, there was a pack of Rottweilers outside my house just staring every time she came on the screen and started screaming at Billy. I was like,
oh, man.
Dude, like, don't watch this movie with a migraine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She hits those notes. It's like, damn. I mean, she was fun. She was an entertaining character, but boy, wow, that was through the roof.
I think the tagline to the movie is, honey, I don't want to screw. I want to either make love or fuck. I think that is possibly the tagline of the century. Like that gets her down to a T. Like I don't want to screw. I want to do this other kind of semi-offensive word that has to do with the intimate act of love. But it's just she's a hot mess.
Yeah. Oh my! Like, especially with the whole like, dude, who wants to be woken by somebody saying my mouth is dry? You get her a glass of water, and then lectures you on the fact that you got her a glass of water, and didn't say, I sympathize or whatever the hell it is. It's like, no, most ladies would like a glass of water when their mouth is dry. Don't listen to this.
Yeah. And that's that weird thing where women have that weird expectation of men to be mind readers, and it's like we're just you tell us what needs to be done, and we're going to make it happen. She just was, doing a lot. I think she was drinking vodka, and I don't even know. It was probably 12 noon, 1 o'clock in the day.
Well, they are. I believe they're both children. I mean, they're not children, but they're acting like children. And to them, when you have a problem, you don't do a long-term solution. You do a quick solution. His quick solution is gambling. Her quick solution is Jeopardy. Because I can make a lot of money all at once, which she does. Good for her. But it's like, that's not a solution. Like that's just something that may or may not happen. You have all that eggs in that basket. And what I like about this movie, and Jay, you've heard 1,000 times, it's a sports comedy movie, but this movie does not assume I'm stupid. And the movie doesn't need to explain everything like her drinking problem. She has a drinking problem. And we don't know what she's like when she's not drinking. And it doesn't bother explaining it to us. And that's okay. We can kind of draw our own conclusions. And I love it when movies do that. They don't need to tell me, oh, my dad was an alcoholic. We don't need to see her go on a bender for us to know that she's got a problem. And that she's obviously a child, just like in what you guys just said. Her whole thing with the water, saying you should have said this. That's a child's answer to that. That's a child's answer who reads women's magazines. A child trying to emulate what they think women want. And mature women don't say shit like that. I'm sorry, they just don't. They just go, hey, honey, they have real conversations. They don't have conversations where we have to figure it out because we're Neanderthals. We don't want to figure stuff out. Let's just tell us what you want to talk about. Don't go around it,
right?
Right? If you want to talk about something, let's talk about it. If you want a glass of water, we'll get a glass of water. Don't mix the two things. She's a child trying to act like a woman. And it leads to how toxic their relationship is. It's not good. Whereas Sydney's and Rhonda's relationship is very good. Because Maurice and Jay, what does Sydney say? What's Sydney's women advice? Is it good?
Always listen to the woman.
That's good advice. Right?
He said, do I got to understand? No, you don't have to understand.
That's right. So
he's right.
They have an adult relationship, and we don't worry about them, even if Sydney does some things that aren't great, or he doesn't get out of the apartment quick enough. They're still adults, and they can probably, whatever happens, they can work it out. Those two, Billy and Gloria, are done from the start because they're both children, and it's toxic.
And by the way, we have spoilers in this movie. We don't care if it's been like however many years since 1992, right? So we're not worried if you haven't seen it yet, and you're really going to be upset if I spoil the ending. There's your chance. All right, now. What I like though is that if he's never fully going to learn, that they don't end with those two together. They actually end with, okay, I'm going to learn, and now we have to try to get her back. But she's gone at the end of this film, and it's not like it was all tied up in a nice, neat bow. Because Billy has not learned a damn thing through most of this, so it's not like he deserves to have her at this point. You know what I mean? Like, the credits are over, and we'd love to, you want to see them together because that's all is those two. But I think it's smart that they didn't put them together. He still has an uphill battle of learning before he's ready to have it.
Yeah, and I think that ultimately, it was the best results. How the movie ended was everybody was liberated. Sydney was liberated, understanding that, hey, I got to let her work. I can't do it alone. And I need to get this money and get my family out of this neighborhood. Billy understanding, hey, you got to step up and be a man and actually get your priorities straight. She was right when she told you to go get a job, and you got a problem. And her understanding that, hey, I got other dreams and things that I want to do, and I can't do this with Billy because he's a trigger for me. And if we notice at the end of the movie, they didn't tell us, but my assumption is that she had gotten sober. It seemed like her could just kind of like how it felt like she had grew up just from when he lost the money that last time to that moment. She was mature enough to say goodbye, Billy, and not even just explode about it after that, that moment. And so I think that ultimately it happened the way it was supposed to, going toward once you get to that part of the movie, everybody, was liberated and understood where they are. And even then, Sydney said, okay, now you're hearing the music. So I think that's a symbolization of, okay, now you finally got it, So yeah,
I love that you brought that up because to me, Rosie Perez has such a good she's acted well the whole movie, even though she does have an annoying voice. She does a great job. She does a great job for what she does. And there's that moment where one moment she's rollerblading and all happy, and the next moment when Billy's actually going to put all this money up that she just won on Jeopardy, and that goodbye, she says, they don't need to explain to me that that's the final goodbye. Like, we know it by the way she says it. And she's just like, I know that we seem to be doing much better, but this is Joel. I know where this is going to go. And it was so good to see. And you're actually happy about it, even though it's sad, because you guys because they're toxic. Toxic people can't be together as much as they want to be. They got to be apart. It's not good for anybody.
And Billy is actually doing a good thing by joining up with Wesley, Sydney, at that point, because he owes him. So he's doing a good thing, but it's not good for what's going on with Gloria. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just one of those like catch-22s. It's like, it's one of he's got to help him, but it's also like getting rid of Gloria in the process of helping. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a lose-lose situation, and I think that even in that moment, which Sydney said, I didn't tell you to, I didn't tell you had to, but the reality is, if nothing else, he still could be thankful to Sydney, because if nothing else, you gave him an opportunity to at least y'all to break up on good terms, to have your last moment with her, because that's ultimately what Sydney did. He opened the door for him to be able to see her again. And, they were under the impression they were going to work out. They didn't, but at least they got the end more amicably than what it was originally, just losing the money and then she left you. And so, I think if nothing else, he had to respect that. But he did owe him. And I think if any of us was in that position, it's kind of a thing was like, hey, I gotta do that. He pulled out a lot of stops to get him to Jeopardy,
right? But that's the complexity of the movie, is that he did pull out a lot of stops for him to do that. And that's what most men would do, is like, well, I owe him this favor because he got me this far. But the way the movie is so good in the writing is that it's going to lead to the breakup, which is probably a good thing, right? So I like that. And Maurice, you said a moment ago, it's a lose-lose situation. But if we use the math from this movie, it's a win-win. Because sometimes when you lose, you win. Thank you. Mic drop. I'll be gone.
The callback. Drop the mic.
No, but it's so funny when Woody tries to do the math after. You know what I mean? He's like, sometimes when you lose, you're in the big globulous something, something, something. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. So we've touched on relationships and about people and the truth setting you free. You got to be who you are. You can't, at some point, you can't fake it. So, and everybody here is posturing. Everybody's posturing. Everybody's making it bigger than who they are. So let's talk about the tournament. So Maurice, you had some. I'm going to let you say what you want to say about the tournament, and I'll see if any of our points or Jay's points match. So what do you want to say? This is this tournament where Sydney and Billy are going to team up. They're not going to work the hustle anymore. They're going to team up, and it's for $5,000 and some weird, I don't know what, diversity umbrella. I'm not sure what that was all about. So what do you want to say about the tournament?
Okay, so I just love this movie. So you're gonna probably hear me say I love this scene.
Whatever, hit it, make it happen.
But I like it. It's we're kind of working like Tenet right now. We're kind of working the movie backwards. It's kind of interesting.
Right.
I like this. This is a new take. But what I love about it, and the interesting thing is, right, so nobody really pays attention to, the one where Sidney double hustled, where he brought Billy in, but then turned around with the crew that he had worked with, that went and got his girl's necklace, and I think they bet $2,500 or something like that, or $1,700. That's what it was. And so those two guys were in the tournament. So those guys were actually really good. We know that Sidney we knew he threw the game, but set aside that, they were really good. And then later in the movie, when he tries to go there to get the tickets from him because he's a security guard, he still was doing really well on the basketball court with the others. So these guys were really good, but they didn't get any highlights or anything. So that was an interesting thing to me, that they didn't make them in the sequence of it. They used kind of the Dwayne Martin and whoever the other guy was, and they were kind of more of the villain, I guess, in the moment or whatever. But I just think that it's overlooked that they were in the tournament, because you see Kadeem Hardison and the other guy, but you never see those other two. And I'm like, they would have probably gotten pretty far in the tournament, but you don't see that because they didn't give them like that. But they were kind of somewhere in the background. I think when he was on the sideline, I seen him have orangish yellow jerseys on. So I think that's a little hidden gem. I don't think people tend to notice.
I think, well, they probably weren't highlighted only to tell the story of Sidney knowing that he and Billy are better than everybody else. So eliminate them by you're not even seeing them go after each other. You're seeing them get right to the other team that they want to take on at the end. I think that's probably a way of telling the story without featuring it all. I think in his head he was yeah. But the ones we got to worry about are those guys with the black jerseys on. You know what I mean? So it was so I think they just hurried up and skipped over, meaning he was right. They made quick work of everybody else, and they went right to the end. I mean, they would have had to cut out a lot more of the film in order to highlight a lot more in this tournament, because the movie was already almost 2 hours, right? Didn't you say it was one? Yeah.
It's a 2-hour movie.
So I'm sure there was plenty that they could have cut out, here and there, if they wanted to do that.
All right, so I have, and I want to see what you guys think about this. So this movie is known, and why I think it's considered a comedy is because the chemistry between Sidney and Billy is awesome. It's like a cop comedy. It's like they hate each other, they love each other, but they really love each other, but sometimes they drive each other crazy. At first they're enemies, and then they're friends, and then they're frenemies, and then they're friends again. And even Sidney says, I got a soft spot on my heart for you, right? Even though they're always kind of double-crossing each other. And that stabbing each other in bed. I guess it's honor among thieves kind of thing, right? And at the end of the day, Sydney basically just wants Billy. Sydney sees what Billy is going through as a person. Maybe Sydney went through it himself and wants him to eventually. Everybody deserves to be happy, even if we're not friends. Everybody deserves to have a good path in life, and maybe that's what Sydney is hopeful for. Who knows? But when we open this movie, sorry, that was a divergent. It's a comedy because of the smack talk. It's a comedy because of, I think, because of the interplay between Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson. There aren't a lot of yuck moments in this movie. Maybe when the guy tries to hold up the liquor store, but instead pawns the gun instead.
This is the worst heist.
So that to me was like a yuck moment. Like, oh, that's really funny.
I like how relaxed the guy was. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I know.
Like, what do you do?
Like, because you're literally down the street playing basketball. You come in with your basketball gear and a mask on in broad daylight, saying, "Give me your money." He said, he said, "Nah, this ain't Raymond." Like, how you just got? He just switched from a baritone to soprano.
That was funny.
That fast, you know.
So
that was just a terrible.
So there's a lot of that, and so we have that smack talk. But then when they get to the tournament, which is obviously big times here, Billy decides to try to piss Sydney off, and the smack talk isn't smack talk anymore. It's actually kind of insulting, and he's trying to get him, or he's trying to embarrass him on purpose. He says, "Stop! Shut up! You're embarrassing me," and it just makes it worse. And when they're on the court playing together, like they're being very critical of each other in terms of their play. Like, why aren't you playing D? I had you in open lane. Like, it's not smack talk anymore. It's not, oh, I could do this all day kind of thing. It's getting down to, you're a shitty basketball player. Why don't you see what I'm trying to set up? And I'm watching this movie, and I don't know why Billy is doing this. Is he trying to get under his skin? Is he trying to get better play out of Sydney? Or is he trying to get in the heads of the guys that he's playing? Or what is going on? What do you think? Why do you think he's doing this?
He said something interesting. He said that I'm trying to get in their heads. Most players play worse when they're mad. But he said, but you play better when you're mad. And I had to probably ping pong the question back. Was there any part of the movie that made us aware that Sydney played better when he was mad? Because I was never. That's because I was wondering, like, where did he get that from? Because ultimately, when he bet him that first time on the 5 shots in a row, obviously he was starting to get a little mad there. He missed that shot, you know what I mean? So I don't know where he got that idea that maybe he looking at, because when he got hustled with the other friends with Sydney, he wasn't like mad or aggressive or anything. And maybe that's a part of his thinking. But I don't know. I don't know if he was trying to get on Sydney's level of like, I'm about to just be loud and boisterous, or I don't know where he got that. But I do agree that most players, if any of us have played sports, for me personally, playing basketball, I definitely didn't play as well when I was mad. Because you're just kind of overthinking everything. You're overdoing everything. You're trying to prove you're getting out of your game. So that definitely does work.
Well, I guess I wonder, why would you do that to the guy you're supposed to be communicating with?
Especially when you're trying to get this money. Like,
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
And it wasn't like this elaborate plan between the two of them. That it's not like, hey, get me pissed off and I'm going to kick some ass. No. I didn't see. Right. Yeah, like it was not set up like that. Like Woody was like, oh, I keep saying Woody. Billy, he's like, I'm the only one that knows about the plan. Right. It'll all be revealed in the tournament.
Well,
you don't wait.
They didn't. Yeah, well, they didn't. And then you got to remember, right, when the women came in front of the TV, they did not want to work together. Like he, especially Billy. Billy was really, you could hear his vocals a little bit more than Sydney's. Sydney was just like, man, please, come on, man. But Billy was like, you're out your damn mind if you think I'm gonna. You shook my hand, and he was so like, he's like, I'm not working with that bastard. Like he was like,
it's so funny. Yeah. It's just, I was just going to say, it's so funny on that note that he's angry. Like, he's a hustler and gets angry because he was hustled. And it's like,
well, it's the classic moment of your significant other when they're in your ear, and then you kind of was over something, and then they kind of keep bringing it up, and then you kind of take on the emotion of their emotion. And so because he had been talking to her on the bus, like, hey, man, once you make a deal, you don't go back on it. But by that point, like, they stole your money and they hustled you and this and so by that point, you're carrying on that emotion. So he's already there, and now he, of course, I think that's probably more of the thinking that I gathered from him, like being mad, even though he's a hustler, he know the game. It's just taking on the emotion of, his girlfriend, and she's upset, which I thought it was super interesting because Sydney's wife was just not going for it. Like, she was like, you're not getting this money. I'm surprised they came to a conclusion of giving half of it back. Like, because I was like, she was like, you're not getting this money.
She said it, but then did you notice Sydney's wife? No. Like, what? Like, I don't remember agreeing to that.
Yeah, I did. I did notice that.
So it's almost like, I don't know if it was an agreement.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I agree.
It was interesting because I just didn't see, I guess for the whole time, I'm waiting for, is this part of a long con? You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what I was waiting for. I'm like, is this just, like, what's he trying to do? And I guess it worked out. It doesn't matter because they won, but still, he lost it that night.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Because he just can't take it.
What do you think about the guys that came in second place? So they got $1,000 apiece, right? Mm-hmm. And these guys were really upset because they came in second and got $1,000 and said, you said $1,500.
Yeah,
bro. If you don't take your $1,000 apiece and go home, what is wrong with y'all?
Yeah, I know, right?
And then we argue. Yes, and then Sydney and Billy got upset because they didn't get the big trophy. They got the smaller trophy. I was like, what is wrong? You men are crazy.
Just go, yeah.
We're crazy.
I think that could be white men can't jump and are crazy. We just, you know what? I think what it turns up into is sometimes we just can't get out of our own way. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, as much as we want to, like, we can't get out of our own way. We can't put some things aside, even we know it's probably not the greatest idea what we're doing. I gotta say, and again, we know. So we found out from Billy that he does have a moral compass, but he doesn't have a brain in his head, and that the reason that he's on the run with Gloria is that he was supposed to throw a basketball game because some gangsters had money on the game, and he had a change of heart, and then decided not to throw the game, and now they're after him, and so they owe these people like $7,000. Something like that, $7,000.
Yep.
And what I thought was hysterical in a movie about posturing and putting up maybe a false front of who you actually are in front of other people, when the gangsters finally get him, they pretend to shoot him so that it looks like. So even these tough gangsters are like, yeah, we're just gonna make it look like it because we don't really want to.
And then they shake his hand.
Sure, he shake his hand. They slap him in the face. They say, "Learn some respect," and they shake his hand. So part of us collectively, we kind of go, because we didn't want to see him get a bullet in the face. He probably doesn't deserve a bullet in the face, but it's still, even gangsters from Louisiana aren't saying who they actually are. And they're going to report back to their bosses, hey, look, we got a picture. Hysterical. I mean, that's obviously the theme, at least I think, the theme of the movie is like, who are you really? And what do you tell your friends you are? You know what I mean? What do you guys, I don't know, my nuts or what?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it is like kind of like a front or if it's like some kind of duality. I don't know. It's like I don't know. I guess it's like that thing where people say it's like, when you're by yourself and nobody's around, that's really who you are. Yep. So, I don't know if it's like, or you can have like a group of friends and like, or just family and friends, and the way you are in each of those groups and circles are just really like, they're like, oh, you're a different person. But a lot of times it's really just an extension of what's always been in you and who you are. It's just because of the environment or the group of people, they bring this piece out of you more than this piece.
Right.
So I think in a way that's a part of it. Like I think Sydney, like at home, he seems more humble and more like reserved and like, hey, I'm gonna do what I gotta do for my family. But when he get out there, all of that kind of comes. He's the opposite actually. Like he's not humble at all. He's very arrogant, very loud. Very obnoxious. And one thing I thought was really funny on the sidebar, I come back, but did you find humor when Kadeem let him borrow that $20 and then he missed and he's like, man, come on, man. I thought you said you was going to win, man. We supposed to be going to scissors.
Oh yeah.
and then what he says to him, like, this is your friend.
Yep.
And you're upset at him for being upset because you lost his money. And he says, shut your malnutrition. I can't even remember everything he said, but he went on for like a good 20 seconds like on him because he was so mad. I just like, wow, that was low of him to do that. Like, I was like, dang, what did B Junior do to you, man? But anyway, yeah, I don't know if it's a duality or it is just like a front, but it is a theme throughout the movie.
Sure.
For sure.
Let's not forget Billy too, because he seems goofy, but really he's kind of an asshole. Like he yells at his girlfriend a lot. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like he's
man.
not
Man.
not nice. It seems like he's just some goofy. Oh, I got a tie-dye hat and I got all this floppy clothes, but really he's not nice at all. So that's something, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
Which is weird because they put him first, they put his storyline so prominent at the beginning that you think you're supposed to be rooting for him.
Yep.
But wait a minute, this guy's a douchebag.
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
So why'd you set me up like that?
I love when movies do things like that. Like villains where they set it up for you to root for them and then you find out. I love that. And I think one of the scenes that is like a testament to that is like when they do that first hustle, and when when a guy robbed the bank and we know that part. And I don't know if you guys noticed, but who threw Sydney's bag and how did they perfectly throw the bag over the fence? And Sydney caught it. Like it was so perfect in timing. Well, I think it was Billy, but anyway, but there was that moment where he gets his stuff out of the trunk, man. And so he's like, hey man, your girl, man, she's nice. He's like, man, don't say nothing about my girl. Like he's like, on the basketball court, you're all nice and chill and smooth and easy going. But when it comes to your girl, he's like, okay. He said, no, you don't talk about her. So you see how fast, like, he borderline seems like he has some kind of anger issue, because, well, I think he does because to talk about why he owed the gangsters, the Stookie brothers, is because she said he had got angry in the middle of the game and didn't decide to throw it. And so there was a moment he's like, would you shut up and stop popping that gum? You're supposed to be on my side. Like, any of us men know you can never ever be able to do that, ever. Like shut in front of the guests,
right?
Like, so I think that scene where Sydney gets his stuff out of the trunk after that first hustle speaks volumes. It shows how quickly it can shift from him being cool and whatever about things to like, hey, this is his soft spot. Like, don't talk about my girl or anything. And of course, we see Sydney kind of leaned into.
Oh
it
yeah, that
more,
was beautiful when he was just all polite and he's. Because it went up his ass a mile, and honestly, and how childish is that? Don't talk to my girl. Why not? I'm just talking. Like that's ridiculous. That's what 12-year-olds do when they date. Like you can say goodbye to my girlfriend if you want to. All I did was say she was pretty. Relax. No, he's a child. He's a child, and he's got to grow up, and that's it. So that's good stuff. And I hope I'm watching it, and I hope. In my heart that Wesley Snipes and anybody on here, I hope there was a lot of improvisation. I really do, because I hope they're making that up as they went. And I certainly hope that when they were doing the scene where Sydney tries to dunk and when Billy tries to dump and Sidney goes, hold on a minute, and pumps up his shoes. That was awesome. I hope that wasn't in the script. Man. I hope they said wait, stop, get the fuck out of here. Oh, that was so good. Yeah. It was so good. I just, because I want to give Wesley that much credit that he kind of made that up on the spot. Yeah. Because boy, oh boy, that's funny. That was really funny.
So, anyway. Well, you want to get to final judgment? I think, all right, here we go.
It's time now for final judgment. Are you ready to rubber stamp this bitch? Here's the final judgment.
Right. Now we are ready for final judgment, which is basically we decide how much or whether the movie holds up to the test of time, if it holds up today. And since it was from 1992, Maurice, actually, you know what? This is your baby. I think, why don't you start us off?
Okay. I love that final judgment sound clip. It sounds like Mortal Kombat finishing. Like it.
That's
it has that very intense sound. So shouts out to y'all for that. That's really good. But overall, this is gonna blow your mind. But I was 2 years old when this movie came out. So, so I'm 31 now.
I'm going to get out my walker right now. Hold on one second.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah. I'll take my Geritol. Thanks a bunch.
So it obviously goes way back. But to be honest, I think that this movie most definitely holds up. There's not a lot of corniness to it. It's not a lot of cheesy stuff to it. I think the fashion sense fit the time, but I also like it. It's very colorful, very stylish. The haircuts, the even the sweat socks, everything about it, the style, the lingo. I think the conversations that were had. I love the cars, the location. Really everything about this movie it's a solid movie, and it's even crazier to me that it's almost 2 hours. Because for me, just going on the roller coaster of the tone and the theme and the feeling of the movie, and it just doesn't feel that long. And so I think it definitely holds up. The content, the issues, the relationship issues, the toxicity, the gambling issues, and so many more things that if we took more time to unpack, we would. But I most definitely, for a movie in 1992 to almost be 30 years old, I definitely think this movie holds up.
All right. Excellent. Jay, I'm going to step in.
All right.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
All right. So my final judgment is this, and I told Jay before the podcast when we were chatting, I only finished the movie about an hour and a half before the podcast, is when I only had time for, and I wasn't able to kind of ruminate on it, and I decided that I want to get some input, right? Because I wasn't able to bounce this movie off of anybody, and I will say, per our discussion, I do think it holds up. I do agree with the stuff that Maurice said. I think that the themes are solid. It's obviously dated in terms of fashion, but it doesn't really matter because of the subject matter, right? So that worked out really well. There are no buzzword things that, woke terms that people get all crazy about these days. I think the message is good. I think the characters are good. I think the writing is surprisingly good for what the movie is. Like I said, a lot of subtleties, a lot of the director and the writer not telling me how to feel about something, just letting me react to it. The only thing I'm going to differ with is that I actually think it's a tad too long. Sorry, that's my. I'm just being honest here. Yeah. I think it's a tad too long, and I think that, and again, I don't make movies. I'm not a Hollywood director, so I'm not going to say anything like that. My gut reaction is it's a tad too long, and it does go in a lot of directions that it doesn't have to. Mm-hmm. The side thing with the Jeopardy just takes too long, in my opinion. Oh. It's important to the story, but I don't know that I needed it that much. Just throwing it out there. I think you could have probably gotten rid of that or shortened that up, or maybe do it as a montage, or I don't know what. And again, it's a good movie, so I don't know that you can cut it, but it just seemed like parts for me, you said it was quick, parts for me dragged a tad. That's all I'm saying, and that's my gut reaction. I don't know that you can cut the Jeopardy scene. I think it's critical. It just seemed to go a little long, but it absolutely does hold up. Gut reaction, being honest. Jason?
Oh, don't forget, she's a former disco queen.
That's right, former disco queen.
Right next to the rocket scientist, and a professor or something. It was like that was the greatest. Like, I love that intro as she's walking up. It's like, just what a great intro. Former disco queen. Like they had nothing else to say. I love it. Oh yeah, no, I think it holds up. I think it's I mean, really, like, you know, you got strife between the fact that he's a gambler and he can't get out of his own way. I mean, does that not still happen today? Absolutely.
Of course. Yep.
And rivalries between friends and, you know, like frenemies, if you will. I mean, like that's kind of a timeless storytelling right there. By the way, real quick, it said the director did Tin Cup. Tin Cup's a fun movie to watch. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's really good.
Bull Durham as well. I forgot Bull Durham.
Okay. Well, in each one of these stories, there's somebody who can't get out of their own way.
That's true.
Tin Cup. I don't know. Maurice, did you see Tin Cup?
I haven't seen it. I'm going to have to check it out for sure.
It's good.
I never saw it.
Oh, you never saw it either?
Nope.
Oh, yeah. So basically, Kevin Costner's a golf pro that could have been great, but you know, does you know, kind of his own worst enemy, and I'll leave it at that. It's fun though.
Okay. Okay.
And by the way, real quick, chemistry I think is also a thing that keeps things holding up nicely. And these two, I don't know if you're aware of this. This was probably their second of 4 collaborations.
What?
They've been they were in Wildcats, which was in the 80s. Goldie Hawn was their like football coach.
Oh yeah,
They were both in that. They were in this one. They were in Money Train, and they played together in a movie called Play It to the Bone, which is about boxing.
Wow.
I didn't know it was 4 of them.
Yeah.
Wait. Let me set back on Wildcats. Ready? It's the sport of kings, better than diamond rings. Football. That's the rap at the end of Wildcats. Goldie Hawn raps and with the other members of the football team.
And one guy doing the Fat Boys, like, yeah, you know, like that thing.
Oh yes, I need it. Yes, that's the good stuff.
My apologies for my bad impression of what I just did, but
no, that was not bad. That was a good improv.
You got what you understood what I was talking about. So yeah, it holds up, and it was a fun movie to watch. So it was nice however many years, almost 30 years later. Yeah, it was a blast to watch. So, thanks for bringing this to the table, man.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Hey, thank you guys for having me. I greatly appreciate it. It's been fun, man. You guys keep doing what you're doing, man. This is great content.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, by the way, if you just you want to plug anything you want right now, this is be a great time.
Oh, well, thank you. So, for those who are unfamiliar with me, I am Maurice Hunt. You can check out my podcast, my audio book / drama, however you want to call it. It's called Roll, the audio drama series. It's on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. The first season is on YouTube as well, so you guys can check that out. Season 3 is coming this fall. Here's a shirt here that I have, just to kind of put that there.
Nice.
Awesome.
And then also you can just follow me on Instagram at Maurice the conceptual _ Maurice Hunt. Thank you.
All right, man.
Thank you.
I'll put that in the description too, so people aren't trying to write all that down.
Yeah, I know it's pretty lengthy. It seems very long, so
but
yeah.
It'll be in the description to make it easier on everybody.
Okay.
And
cool.
So if go ahead. You can
all right.
Promo.
I'll do my thing. Mm-hmm. All right. So if you want to email us, filmcrickets 8099 at gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, where you find the video portions of this. Also, we have a YouTube channel, Film Crickets. Again, thanks again. Jay Fortier is the best, and he does all the engineering for this and mixes everything, and he spends a lot of time on it, and I am indebted to you greatly. He spends a lot of time getting this stuff together and putting everything on the social media. All I do is like and retweet. So everybody check that out. Also, Apple Podcasts would be really great if you could rate and respond. Review.
You know what? Just real quick, folks at home, if you love the show, and you haven't done this, please just give it a chance. Meaning go on Apple, do a rate and review, 5 stars, please. But because because the thing is, we kind of stalled out at 13 rating, and we're still at 5. 5 stars across the board, but we're stalled at 13, and that was back in February. It's been like sleepy time, and I know I know other people listen. We do have the numbers on the so, but it's so I'm going to ask. Please help us out,
please,
so we can grow this
a little bit.
We want to grow this thing, man. All right, and Maurice, it was a pleasure. It was awesome having you here. And
pleasure. Thank you, guys.
And we'll see you next week. Right now, it's up in the air what's happening next week, so we're not going to tell you all about it because we're not sure. But something's coming. All right, take care.
All right, man.
Chirp about movie.